McNulty.
The seasonally adjusted Fastener Distributor Index for November was 54.5, moderating slightly from last month's 56.5, but remaining firmly in the growth range. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by the FCH Sourcing Network and Baird. The FDI seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener distribution industry. To get some insights on these results, we talked to Doug Ruggles, president of Martin Fastening Solutions and the immediate past president of the NFDA. Hi, Doug. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Thank you, Mike. Good to be with you today.
It's good to hear you on the radio again. So what do you think about the latest FDI results?
Well, it is in line with what we're experiencing in our fastener OEM side of our business. We've seen tremendous growth in the last few months. Manufacturing continued to invest and grow. In fact, we just analyzing our November numbers, and we came in and looks like, for especially in our fastener line of business, the best November we've had in probably 7 or 8 years.
Wow!
So we're excited about that. Some of that is a lot of it depends on your customer mix, but for us it was solid.
Well, that's good to hear. And I think, November traditionally is a slower month seasonally, I guess, but maybe people are playing catch up because of the earlier problems that we all know about, but that we're hopefully in the rearview mirror. Because this month, the sales number actually increased to 66.9 versus 65 the previous month, where both of those are great numbers. And that kind of matches what you guys saw. And then the forward-looking indicator dipped slightly to still a robust 63.2 after recording a 33-month high last October. So looking forward, it's still pretty solid.
Yes, I would agree with that. We're expecting a very strong December. We have customers who traditionally will close for 8 to 10 days over the holidays that are only closing 3 to 4.
Oh.
So I think a lot of it, what you mentioned earlier, they're trying to catch up because they could not get components, and now they're finally getting them, and they see the growth that's happening in the demand across the U.S. And right now we're forecasting a very strong Q1 and throughout 2021.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good to hear, and that matches. Last episode we had the economic report from ITR, and they were talking about a strong 2021 as well. And then I was in on a webinar from economists too, talking about next year, and again same thing. And they're like, it's just don't worry about the noise that's going on in the background. It's going to be a good year. So that's
right.
Good to hear about your customers staying open a little bit longer over December. That's good for people to be working.
I agree.
Now, going back to the FDI numbers, we saw employment and customer inventory numbers both dipped, and pricing went up in November. And then I guess, with inventory going down, they're going to have to replenish that. So that would tie into what you're expecting for December as well.
Yeah, I think there have been some supply disruptions that if you're importing, a lot of congestion in the ports is what we're hearing. And there have been container issues coming from Asia. So a lot of constraints. You couple that with increased sales, and distributor inventory is going to be lower.
Yeah.
We're probably like a lot of distributors out there. We're flying parts in for customers that need it, that did not anticipate the rebound. But if you listen to the ITR reports that the NFDA helped promote, and I think we have one the 1st of May and then again in the end of June, they all forecasted this. So if you follow that and stay tuned and stay close with the NFDA and all the educational sessions that they have, then you were prepared for this.
Yeah, that's a nice benefit of being in the NFDA for sure. And those guys, they base their forecasts on raw data, hard data, and facts. So I've always enjoyed listening to their analysis and forecasts. Now, you mentioned shipping, so that ties in. There was a special or a supplementary question on the FDI survey this month, and in response to the special question about overseas shipping, 69% of respondents indicated that they are seeing price increases on shipping. And then additionally, another 67% of respondents indicated that they're seeing increased lead times as well as a result of the shipping disruptions. So that kind of ties into what you said.
I'd agree with all of those numbers and those sentiments. We're seeing a lot of that, and it's always a wrestling match of who pays what. And if you do have to absorb it, can you pass that on to your customers, build it into your price, or do you put special one-time fees? Because we do anticipate that starting to end after Q1 as things start to catch back up. But it is a short-term problem.
Yeah, one of the respondents' commentary was, quote, "Inbound from Asia is ridiculous. Ocean carriers are taking advantage of us. Hopefully things get better after the Lunar New Year," which is in February. I had to look it up, but so that would tie. Yeah, after Q1 is over, things will probably smooth out. Another respondent said it was the Walmart effect, and things will get back to normal after the holidays. So
could be
Walmart's filling their shelves for Christmas. Let's see what else. Oh, on the 6-month outlook was pretty bullish. We had 78% of respondents expecting conditions better 6 months from now, which is June of 2021. 14% the same, and only 8% are expecting it worse. So this is next year. Middle of next year is looking pretty in the eyes of most fastener distributors.
Sure, I think, Mike, what we've talked about is if you step back from what we've gone through as a industry, as a country, and globally with the pandemic, with the most contentious presidential election in our history, and the just general relations, race relations, and all that have gone on, it's remarkable that we are where we are. And if those things smooth out, get better in any shape, form, or fashion, people are just the pent-up demand is. I heard somebody say earlier this morning. I was listening to something. They said it's a tightly coiled spring. The U.S. economy that is just ready to spring forward and let go.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to describe it. I would agree with that, and hopefully we get past all these things and we get to unbind the spring, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, there's and there's a lot of people that are they're ready. People are tired of everything. So.
Yeah, the analogy, Mike, and I'll just share this one with you. There's a peer group that that I'm part of that's in the fastener industry, and we've been talking every couple of weeks. And the analogy that I shared with them is where we are as far as the pandemic, and that resonated with everybody. So I've been trying to use it more. But you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're all excited about that, and we're all racing toward it. What we did not expect is that the end of this race is almost straight uphill, and we really don't want to run that hard. So, but we have to, and but that if you'll keep that in mind, that this is not the time for us to relax. It's the time that we actually have to dig deeper and to really push to get up this hill and to the finish line. And hopefully that'll be in Q1, and we start to reap the benefits of that in Q2 and Q3, which is when most people that I've talked to think that life will get back to some form of normal as far as business travel, being allowed to be in with our customers.
Visit customers, go to trade events.
Right,
yeah.
Right. All of those things. And so if you just keep that in mind, is the last part of this race that we've been running since March is straight uphill.
So do you have a cross country background in your life? Or?
No, I hate running.
I had one of my daughter was a cross country runner, so I'm thinking of courses that finished with a hill.
Sure.
Nobody liked that, but there were some of them that finished that way. So that's a good analogy. I'm gonna remember that one and share it with others as well.
You're welcome to use it.
All right. So, finishing up with the report, we had general commentary outside of the special question on shipping was mostly positive this month. And I've got one comment to share. And this one was a respondent who summarized what the current environment is. And it was, quote, "Business is picking up. end quote. Short but sweet, and this seems to be on target for what everybody is experiencing.
True.
Good. Anything else to add on the FDI report?
No, I think you hit it spot on. We're bullish about where we are, where we're going, what the opportunities are for the next several years.
Good. Now, in closing, I want to, how's everything going at Martin Fastening Solutions, which is part of the bigger group, Martin Supply?
Sure. Yeah, our team there has done a phenomenal job. As I'm sure most distributors have and manufacturers, from the yo-yo effect of working from home, coming back into the office, which we have done exceptionally well. Our team, from our HR team to our frontline managers and warehouse workers, keeping our customers moving and supplying them has been a yeoman's effort across the board in all of our lines of business. And we've had a very profitable year. We've been able to drive margins up. We've been able to drive sales up. We've been able to acquire new business, and I think customers are resonating with our value proposition.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, we're excited about that line of business and coupling it with our general industrial and safety PPE side, along with our integrated services. That really, when you bundle those together, they offer to the marketplace an unbeatable combination that very, very few in our industry, in the industrial distribution world, have to offer.
Well, that's a good story to hear. And I know a few weeks ago you made it onto the Big 50 distributor list, and you came in actually at number 50. So congratulations on that. I think it's the second year in a row that you've been on the list.
That's correct. Yeah, it's really a validation of the work that my brothers and I have put together, and this is a family business. We in 2020 we celebrate. Well, actually, at the end of 2019, and we celebrated in 2020. We didn't know what the year was going to be. It was our 85th year of being in business.
Wow.
So we had some big celebration plans. A lot of those, like with everything else, were put on the shelf, but
probably were waiting for good weather and didn't know there'd be a pandemic.
That's right. We weren't counting on that. It wasn't in our plan.
Right.
But we were really excited to be recognized from that. And that's really just a pat on the back for our team members. It's not anything that we do from our side other than, our job is to point the direction and hold everybody accountable for sticking with their goals. But, it's all about culture for us, getting that professional team together, but still having a family atmosphere that people want to work for and customers like to buy from. That's really our secret sauce.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing that right. And brings me to my closing question. I was looking on your website, and I wanted to know if there's any inside stories you can share with us on the three Ruggles on the Martin leadership team.
Well, there's a couple of things there, and I'll share with you. While we're third generation owners in the business, my grandfather, Mr. Martin, started the business in 1934 out of the corner of his dad's business, which was a foundry. They made the old potbelly stoves, old cast iron potbelly stoves.
Yep.
Then he and his dad started the supply business on the side in 34. So when you look at it, we're either third or fourth generation, depending on how you count, whether it was grandfather who was president and 50% owner or his dad. But for us, we constantly think of ourselves as first generation. And if you're a first generation owner, you're more entrepreneurial, you're more driving and not worrying about maintaining the status quo. So that's really been a lot of our mindset as we've grown the company. And the challenge is, how do you maintain that and have that same culture within your business? That and secondarily, the three of us get along exceptionally well. We all are equal as owners and leadership of the business, all have different parts of the business. But we never wanted to work elbow to elbow. So we had to grow the business. So we each had our own part of the business that we were in. Right. and that was good for all of us. And I applaud our parents, my dad, who was president and CEO of the business when we all gravitated back in, not by plan or design, but what we did and the way he was able to guide us through the early years as we were growing the business from very, very small to being in the, one of the top 50.
Right.
So,
well, that's a good story, and great American story, entrepreneurial and business story. I like to hear those, and it sounds like you're on the right track. And keep up the good work.
Thank you, Mike. I do want to address a couple of things from the NFDA side.
Okay, sure, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you giving me a little bit of a platform, and just want everybody to know about there's a lot going on as the NFDA has continued to try and work and add value to our members. One of the things that we are instituting is a monthly webinar roundtable educational offering that we're going to try and do in 21. We don't know whether or not our session, our ESPS executive sales planning session that is set in June will be able to be in person or not. We're hopeful that we'll be in a place, but so we've decided to add these monthly webinars focusing on HR, on operations, on sales and marketing and leadership. And our first one is January the 14th. So I just want everybody to be aware that is coming and going to be a really nice addition for all of our members as we're continuing to try and figure out how we can help our members grow and thrive, which is their purpose statement.
Can people get information on that on the NFDA website, I imagine?
That's right. www.nfda-fasteners.org is the website, and all of that will be there. So Vicki and Amy and the team have done a phenomenal job working from home and trying to figure out what's coming next, as everyone has throughout this year.
Well, good. Well, a lot of good resources there. So I encourage listeners to check it out. If you're a member, and if you're not a member, check out how to become one. And NFTA does a lot of good.
You will not be disappointed. Yeah. Sorry, I stepped on you there, Mike, but you won't be disappointed. And that's what being part of a national organization. What you get is that influence from other business people that are trying to do the same thing you're trying to do. And like I said, we talked about the ITR reports earlier. That information was critical as we were planning not just the next year, but back in April and May and June, that we were really trying to plan the next week and the next month. So having that influence of people to reach out to and network with, it really, when you go back to our business, that's how we grew our business, is when we got involved in national organizations. It is the catalyst that grew us from a very small regional player to one of the premier national distributors out there.
Yeah, and you had mentioned earlier talking with people in peer groups, so it's good to talk to others who are you find out they're experiencing the same thing you are, and then you can bounce around ideas together and help each other weather the storms and enjoy the good times.
That's right. I figured out a long time ago, Mike, that I'm not the smartest guy in the room, so I want to learn from others that are.
Yep. Well, again, thanks for joining us, and I wish you all the best for the end of 2020 and a good 2021.
Thank you, sir. Good to talk to you, and Merry Christmas.